No charges for the Denver police officer who shot and killed a black man in May. Protesters expected that, and they're already in the streets tonight. The defense of DACA means more certainty and less fear for thousands of Coloradans. Generations of this state's kids have been riding the same horses, always a penny. Now they're going away. Returning to Mile High in the pandemic, how do you sanitize a whole stadium? What if, to paraphrase the president, you put the light inside its body? A new American citizen who took the oath through a face mask offers a unique view on this moment in history. And speaking of it, one way to be anti-racist is to learn more history. So we're going to do that here on Next. Protesters in the streets of Denver tonight say it was a murder. Denver District Attorney announced this afternoon that it was self-defense. DA Beth McCann says the Denver police officer who shot and killed 21-year-old William Dubose last month will not face charges. On May 1st, Denver police officers tried to pull Dubose over for a traffic stop. Police helicopter video and body camera video shows Dubose getting out of his car near 14th Avenue in Colfax in a library parking lot, puts his hands in the air briefly, and then video shows him starting to run. Police say that he pointed a gun at an officer. The officer fired 4 times. The chase and the shooting happened in less than 10 seconds. Officers say they found a loaded handgun behind Dubose. His wife and his father were at a protest last week calling for that body camera video to be released, and it was released this afternoon along with the DA's announcement. There is a new protest this afternoon. Protesters were called to rally in the streets over what they called the murder of William Dubose when they expected that the decision was coming down this afternoon. Understand that some protesters who were there celebrating the Supreme Court decision on DACA and immigration have now kind of merged with the protesters, upset that the officer is not being charged for the death of William Dubose. So this is one of the larger protest crowds we have seen in a little bit here at the Capitol. There was a time when this was a daily scene, but this is the first time that we've seen Lincoln shut down in some time. We're going to keep an eye and an ear to these protests throughout the evening. McCann told us, the district attorney told us, that she agreed with the protesters who actually came to her house over the weekend protesting this case, said that she too wanted justice, and she promised that she would hold a virtual town hall to explain the decision if in fact no charges were brought. Democratic Governor Jared Polis now say he's going to sign Colorado's new police accountability bill tomorrow morning at the Capitol at 9:15, and some protest leaders have called for another crowd to gather outside the Capitol to mark that moment as well. The governor again today talked about his concern about the spread of COVID-19 in some of our neighboring states. Looking at you, Utah and Arizona. Utah had 495 new cases and 3 deaths in a day. Arizona had a state record of more than 2,500 new cases. I think Colorado's had 230 new cases in that same time period. Our governor is big on baseball analogies, so that is how he described it.
When you're down a few runs, you're doing everything you can to catch up, and you're working hard. But when you're up a run, and you're in maybe the 5th inning of this thing, and you got bases loaded, there's the other team has bases loaded, you're up 1 run, it's the 6th inning. That's when you're worried a little bit more. You're worried they could break through and burst this thing open. I'm worried the virus could break through here in Colorado, because it has in other states recently, now, in the next week.
We expect the state's going to put out the guidelines tomorrow on the next stage of the public health restrictions, what they're calling the Protect Our Neighbors phase. So Mile High generally does not see anything like 6-foot social distancing on Sundays unless it's late in a losing season and the no-show fans want to make a point to the ownership. Marshall Zellinger, though, shows us the stadium upgrade for this coming season designed to make it safer to return and watch football.
We still don't know if Broncos fans will get to go beyond the new signs outside Mile High. If fans are allowed inside, the stadium management company announced new ways they'll be sanitizing shared areas.
A UVC light underneath the escalators, which will help to reduce or eliminate bacterias or viruses that would be on the handrail.
The stadium will install these UVC handrail sanitizers, $270,000 worth for 15 escalators. Last month, Mountain Newsroom reporter Matt Renew showed us a Breckenridge condo using UVC light to sanitize rooms. But does this really work?
I've been studying UV disinfection for about 20 years. I think it's very realistic that these UV LED lamps that are germicidal can be effective for inactivating microorganisms such as viruses on handrails.
For you science and engineering folks, CU professor Dr. Carl Linden said we need 250 to 280 nanometers to disinfect. For us non-science and engineering folks, the UVC light needs to be intense enough over a specific period of time, even 1 or 2 seconds, to disinfect the same handrail touched by someone who just coughed into their hand.
If I knew the system was tested and was delivering the right dose of UV light, I certainly would not be afraid to put my hand in that same spot.
The stadium will also try out an $800,000 sanitizing method that you can't even see.
We talked with engineers and specialists about bipolar ionization in our HVAC system.
Let's go to CU again.
We're talking about people in one room exhaling those infectious particles going through the ventilation system into another room or locale where other people are.
Bipolar ionization helps keep any bad particles from getting out of the ventilation system or makes the particles go away quickly.
The idea is to treat the air when it's in the duct to either remove those particles or render, if it's a virus, those particles from infecting somebody else.
I got thinking, if the Broncos are going to do this at the stadium, why don't I see this at DIA or at the malls? I reached out to DIA. A spokeswoman tells me they haven't seen the cost benefit. There's the cost we talked about in that story. Park Meadows tells me they're instead going with enhanced cleaning in person and deep cleaning when the mall is closed. Cherry Creek, Kyle, did not get back to me.
More importantly, Marshall, have you asked our boss if she's willing to install a gigantic UV light over the desk pod that the two of us share?
I think that'll be part of my next review. I'll put that at the top of the list.
Yeah, as if the two of us are not ridiculously tan enough from you running all the time and me doing yard work. Yeah, that's right. Put us under a tanning bed light. All right, thank you, Marshall. We have heard from a number of Next viewers in recent weeks, people asking, quite genuinely, what they can do personally to fight systemic racism. Well, education helps. Educating yourself, educating others. The Blair Caldwell African American Research Library says more and more people have been contacting them lately, asking for an education. They told our Anusha Roy they recommend starting with learning about some of the women who have shaped our state.
The Blair Caldwell African American Research Library is currently closed because of COVID-19, but a pandemic hasn't stopped people from reaching out about another crisis, racism. After George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis when an officer pressed his knee into Floyd's neck, the library has had more people reaching out, like authors and teachers, people who realized they needed to learn more about their community's history and help teach others. Terry Nelson with the library says that means recognizing women who've made a difference.
Well, they were the role models.
Like Sarah Foster, the first woman president of the Five Points Business Association in the early 1960s, and Emma Azalea Hackley, a musician and social activist who Nelson says hasn't received enough recognition for the work she did. Then there's Lucille Buchanan Jones, the first African-American woman to graduate from the University of Colorado.
Was not allowed to actually walk across the stage to receive her diploma. At the time, for instance, Lucille, it wasn't important and it wasn't significant that an African-American woman be pointed out as being the first to get a degree from the University of Colorado. As we know around the country, the history, there were lots of firsts for African Americans that were ignored.
Community activist Dr. Nita Mosby Tyler said a historical look back is key. She says it keeps us from thinking every moment is a snapshot. It is all linked to the past. It helps acknowledge how deep-rooted racism is, which is why Nelson is encouraged by all the people trying to learn.
So when it comes to education, over the last school year, Denver Public Schools says it's been working on more culturally balanced teaching, and that includes more African American history. Of course, with that comes changes to social studies curriculum and internal audits of other subjects to figure out where they need to improve. And Kyle, they said a big part of that is talking to their own teachers and students on how to do those improvements properly.
And the current conversation, Anusha, is changing our thought process as a news outlet in terms of who are we talking to? Which voices do we have the opportunity to highlight?
Yeah, absolutely. And a part of that is honestly hearing from you guys at home. If there is a community leader that we should be talking about who's doing some great work, let us know. We'd love to reach out to them so we can continue to share these stories and, most importantly, continue this conversation.
All right, Anusha Roy, thank you as always. There are 17,000 dreamers and their families in Colorado that have more security, more comfort tonight with the Supreme Court decision this morning that rejects President Trump's challenge to the DACA program. So those dreamers remain protected from deportation. Worry and uncertainty has been woven into their lives.
I was so scared at grocery stores because my mom is strong and stubborn and amazing, but sometimes she likes to pick fights, and I was always so worried for her because I was like, you know what, I don't want you to say anything because I don't want someone to say something to you or, like, you know, get you in trouble. So it was always just a lot of fear.
You may think that you don't know any of those 17,000 DACA recipients. I assure you that you do. I promise. More on that in a moment. We're getting some feedback tonight on our news clips that have been used in political ads again. This happens every single political season. Now, we wish that campaigns and third parties would not use our news clips in their ads, but we're not able to legally stop them from doing it. William wrote in recently asking if I got paid to be in the attack ad on former Governor John Hickenlooper in a Senate campaign. No, William, I did not. I did get paid to do the journalism that was clipped in those ads where I said that Hickenlooper broke the law while in office and violated the state constitution. All that was accurate when I said it here on Next. And as we pointed out in our truth test of that political ad, at least the clip was used accurately by that outside group that's supporting Republican Senator Cory Gardner. Bob from Broomfield wrote in to say that ad made it sound like I was supporting Gardner. Well, Bob, just be patient. I guarantee you that Gardner's opponent in the general election will have clips of me saying critical but accurate things about Senator Gardner. They'll put those in ads too.
I don't feel these people differently. I don't feel this is different, my race different, my soul different. We are all a human.
He took the oath to become a citizen with a face mask on. Gives him an interesting perspective on this American moment. And a small, slowly rocking landmark outside Denver's grocery stores is going away.
These horses do bring a lot of joy to a lot of young kids.
The end of the penny horse.
We really don't want to see them sit in a warehouse and fade away.
That's next. A lot of Americans are looking around trying to make sense of what's happening in the country. Imagine being a relatively new American, faced with everything that's going on from the pandemic to the protests. We first met Ali Hassan a few years ago, refugee from Iraq who came here to be an artist. Since then, he started an art academy in Denver, became an American citizen while wearing a face mask. We caught up with him for his view of 2020.
So, my name is Ali Hassan. My goal from the first time when I started this journey, I would like really create a school to help the student to get high standard of the quality of the art. Originally, I'm from Iraq. I found myself I cannot be more successful than the United States because my country with the war, with all the economy stuff. And there's one thing make my heart is blowing. It's I get my citizen, and this is difficult time. Well, that's what the people write to me for my citizenship. I'm proud to be an American citizen because really I love this country. I don't like to look at for the people is different than me. Like, you know, when I look at for other people, I don't feel for inside myself. Like, I don't feel these people different than me. I don't feel this is different, my race different, my soul different. We are all a human. I can look at from different angle by learning different story, different culture, different maybe experience. You come to know our school, you can see some people from China, some people from Korea, some people from like so many different countries. But with all this situation, I don't make myself just break down to be more satisfied because, you know, one things make me hold these things because I hope to the future. I just live with my dream, live with my hope, with my optimism things, just in general in the life. How I reach the United States, how is I get very difficult with dangerous way, just to inspire them. Don't give up. Any difficulties in your life happen, you have to always hold your hope.
Well, he founded the Real Academy of Art, Evans in Oneida. Our photojournalist Byron Reed has been documenting his story over the years. If you had a penny for every time a kid rode the horses outside King Soopers, you would have as many pennies as the person we will meet next, who wishes that those horses could stay. We're told the penny horses outside King Soopers are going away. The family that first installed those rides generations ago in 1947 says that King Soopers decided to get rid of the horses. Photojournalist Corky Scholl caught up with a third-generation penny horse trainer of sorts.
It is difficult. It's nerve-wracking. It's sad to see this era come to an end. That's essentially what we've done for 4 generations now, is keeping these horses going for the kids. My name's Eddie Bennett, and this is my dad, Harry Heaston, that ran the business for many years, and my son Keegan, my son Chase, and my daughter Tara. The joy for us is going into the stores and actually working on them, because we get to hear a lot of stories when people come by and talk about them. It's something that we've really enjoyed providing the service for all these years, and it is sad to see it come to an end with King Soopers for sure. But at this point in time, they will be removed permanently. They do want to go ahead and pull them out of all the stores. So at this point, we are bringing them in and trying to find every little square foot that we can put them in. These horses do bring a lot of joy to a lot of young kids, and we really don't want to see them sit in a warehouse and fade away. I think it's something you used to see in a lot of stores years ago, and you just don't see them anymore. Of course, we would like to try to hopefully put them in another location somewhere. We'd hate to see them not go back out for the kids to enjoy, but if that's not possible, then we obviously will start selling them off to interested people that would like to have a little bit of Colorado history at their own home for their kids and grandkids. It's been an absolute joyride for our family, but it is sad. It is sad to see it come to an end.
The penny horses have always been just a penny. I learned that a few years ago when I assumed out loud and on air that they were 25 cents a ride. I learned that I was wrong, and that somebody apparently made quite the killing off of my childhood in Western New York. 25 cents a ride. We'll be back with your feedback next. So many people want to talk about the penny horses going away at King Soopers. Somebody tweeted me, so sad the ponies are being retired. As you heard, they may get new life. Boy, could you imagine all the people lining up to buy those things if they don't want to put them back in another store? A note from Lori, who wrote in to say that she thinks that Mr. Lloyd King, who started King Soopers, would be heartbroken about the end of the penny horses. I think that's probably pretty true. Hey, we hope to bring you that story about a DACA recipient you know. We spent more time talking about the live protests, the DACA and the police reform protests, so we'll have to bring you that story next time.